Hello and welcome to the Royal Road School of Carmelite Prayer. We are currently journeying through Teresa's book of her foundations, and we are looking specifically today at her 14th foundation in Palencia. Following Palencia, we will look at Soria and then Burgos, and then we will have completed our journey. So Palencia has been divided into two different videos because it's rather lengthy. So let's begin. I've entitled this first part, A Quiet Way of Arriving. So Teresa treats of the foundation of St. Joseph of Our Lady of the Street in Palencia. It was made in the year 1580 on the feast of King David. So Teresa starts out with, having returned from Villaneuva de la Jara, the superior ordered me to go to Valladolid at the request of the Bishop of Palencia, who favored whatever pertains to this order. I could find no basis for founding this monastery, as it had to be founded in poverty. And because this city was very poor, this monastery could not be sustained. This foundation had been the subject of discussion for almost a year, but now in Valladolid, I found many obstacles. Because of my poor health, I had even lost confidence in God. This confidence that He usually gives me when I begin one of these foundations. Everything looked impossible to me. Had I met someone to encourage me, that would have helped me overcome my faint-heartedness. It just so happened that Father Rapalda from the Society of Jesus came to town. He began to encourage me very much. He told me that the problem was my age. That was the problem for my cowardice. At that time, I was considering the foundation of Palencia and Burgos together. But I had nothing, no money for either of them. This, however, wasn't the cause of how I felt, as I am used to starting out with much less. His words were not enough, however, to bring me to a decision to go ahead. It is often made clear that it is not I who do anything in these foundations, but rather it is the work of Him who is all-powerful in everything. One day after communion, I begged the Lord to enlighten me so that I might do His will. The Lord answered, "What do you fear? When have I ever failed you? I am the same now as I was before. Do not neglect to make these two foundations." I was left with such a determination and such courage that nothing could have opposed me. I took 2 nuns with me to go and buy the house. Though I had been told that it was impossible to live on alms in Palencia, I knew that His Majesty would provide. The weather was harsh, but a gentleman had given us a house he had rented, where we could stay from the beginning of the year, January, until the feast of St. John the Baptist in June. I wrote to a canon in this city, convinced he would help us. Our Lord Himself chooses someone to help Him in each place. I requested of him that he have the house vacated as secretly as possible. I felt it safest to keep the foundation from being known. This man did such a good job that not only did he have the house vacated, but he provided beds and a plentiful supply of things. We needed these things because the weather was cold and the fog was intense. We had little rest until we had a place to say Mass the following day, and before anyone was even aware, we had arrived. I have found that this quiet way of arriving is more fitting. Early in the morning, almost at dawn, a priest who had come with us said Mass. Another friend lent us the money to furnish the house and assisted us on the journey. There were 5 of us nuns and a lay sister who went to Palencia. That night we slept little, although the journey had been difficult because of the heavy rains. That morning I sent word to His Excellency, the bishop, who wasn't even aware that I was arriving that day. He came at once with great charity. He told us that he would give us all the bread we needed and ordered that many things be provided for us. This order, the Carmelites, owes this bishop much. The joy of the people was great. Not one person disapproved. This was surely because of the bishop who was much loved in this place. I rejoice daily at having made that foundation there. Since the house was not ours, we immediately began to negotiate to buy another, as ours was in a bad part of town. With the help of the nuns who came, it seemed we could buy something. Had God not given us good friends, all would have been to no avail. The 2 canons from the town were as concerned about us as if the matter were their own. In that town, there was a shrine that inspired much devotion. It was called Our Lady of the Street. The devotion to her was not only in the city of Palencia, but in the region as well. It seemed to all that it would be good for us to be near that shrine, which was actually offered to us as a gift. There were 2 houses near the shrine of Our Lady of the Street, but when the owners realized our interest in them, they came to value these houses more. But we finally decided that these houses, in very bad shape, were just not suitable for us. There was, however, another house that seemed just right for our needs, and near the home of the gentleman who helped us so much. It was felt that this would be a good place for us to make our foundation. That house, however, was not large enough, but they offered us another one along with it. Based on the information I had, I desired to go ahead, but the canons wanted to see the house first. So I went to see them, and also those of Our Lady of the Street, to make the owner think that we had choices. Although we found many difficulties, we accepted these houses, even though they were not easy to fix up. To make a church, all the good space for living quarters would have to be taken away. It was providential that I trusted little in myself. In some, we wanted to buy the houses even at an elevated price and to write to the owner who happened to be in another city. That I have gone into such detail about the purchase of these houses may seem pointless to you until it is seen that the devil's aim here was to prevent us from buying those houses of Our Lady of the Street. We were determined not to buy any other houses. One day while at Mass, I became worried whether I was doing the right thing. After receiving communion, I heard these words: "This is the one that suits you." we determined to buy those of Our Lady of the Street. But how were we to do this, as the business deal had already been discussed for the other houses? The Lord answered me, "They do not understand how much I'm offended there, and this will be a great remedy." I recognized from its effects that this location was from the Spirit of God. Then the Lord said to me at once, "It is I." This is the end of part 1, and we will continue with part 2 and Teresa's actual purchase of the house, along with the story of the Carmelites becoming a separate province in Spain, the Discalced Carmelites. So thank you so much for following along, and many blessings to you, and I hope you're enjoying this journey. Take care.